Manchester United have now become a club known for having a problem with players who are being accused of violence against their partners. Antony has become the latest player accused of that, as he has been placed on leave of absence while still on full pay, but not officially suspended. Manchester United will continue to review the situation as it develops. The winger was dropped by Brazil earlier this week following the initial allegations made by former girlfriend Gabriela Cavallin, and later appeared on Brazilian TV to deny the allegations. I should say he was dropped last week and hasn't played for Brazil throughout this international break. And now he will not be returning to the club for a while. Racer de Freitas claims she required hospital treatment after being assaulted by Antony and a woman in May 2022. A club statement read that Manchester United acknowledges the allegations made against Antony. The players who have not participated in international matches are due back in training on Monday, that is today. However, it has been agreed with Antony that he will delay his return until further notice in order, the club claims, to address the allegations. Manchester United, in a statement about the accusations, have condemned acts of violence and abuse and expressed their recognition of the importance of the impact that such allegations can have on the people who it concerns. They are interested in safeguarding all those involved in the situation, and they also say that they are supporters behind all survivors of abuse. Now, meanwhile, in a statement of his own, Antony revealed that he had come to an agreement with Manchester United to take a period of absence while he addresses the allegations made against him. He recently appeared in an interview where he fully denied all of the allegations, even though two women have further come out and say they've also been assaulted by Antony. Now, the obvious way to take this story is that Antony is accused of this, and violence against people, no matter the gender, is wrong, especially when it comes from domestic partners. And in this case, he is a footballer. He's expected to act as a role model, and we definitely do not want to give powers and fame to people who do not know how to utilize that fame to influence the next generation positively. That is the obvious direction. However, I do want to play devil's advocate. It seems to me that Manchester United are on the verge of losing another top-rated player, one whom was bought for a lot of money, about £80 million, above £80 million, brought to the club to offer them an option on the right, a better option on the right than the ones they had. Because the best option, homegrown option, whom they didn't have to spend as much money on, Mason Greenwood, was at the time still answering a case at the Crown prosecution, by the Crown prosecution, for domestic abuse and potential rape. Now, if this is the case, Manchester United very well might lose another top-rated player. And to me, even if he is never found guilty, even if this matter never goes to court, the court of public opinion has already started to have its say. The lady who accused him of the abuse has asked that Manchester United suspend him, and effectively, that is what they've done, even though they claim it is not an official suspension. He will still be collecting his full pay, but he will not be part of a squad that requires every talented body at their disposal in order to challenge this season. Of course, football is not more important than safeguarding people's lives and well-being. I just want to point out, Gbenga, that it seems like Manchester United are about to go through the exact same thing they went through with Mason Greenwood. What possible solutions can clubs find to this kind of matter to ensure that they don't end up having the same issue?
So this is a very dicey situation for Manchester United. It's looking like a case of witch hunting in like nature is witch hunting Manchester United. The first question is why right wingers? And if you even want to even take it straight, why
Left-footed.
wingers in general? Remember, Cristiano Ronaldo was still a Manchester United player in 2009 when he first had his initial sex scandal with the lady that said he malhandled her in a hotel. In Manchester United winger. Then we saw Greenwood. Now we are seeing Antony. Well, for the defense of Antony, he's come out to debunk the situation. Two more ladies came out to say they also have their fair share of sexual assault against the guy. Although Manchester United have not suspended Antony. That has to be put out there. The reason he is not returned is a delayed return, more like a leave of absence. The club themselves have offered Antony a leave of absence till further notice until you sort out your investigation, then he can come back. So he's still getting paid his usual £200,000 per week while on the leave, right? So he's not suspended or he's not been charged, he's not been arrested, none of that sort. But this is a dent to his name until it's being cleared. Remember, Greenwood's name was actually cleared, but he couldn't recover. He couldn't return to the squad with Manchester United. He had to leave, and now it's Yetafe. So for Antony, Manchester United are going to have to look for solutions on the right side because if you can say, okay, they probably have well to do with the right back position, talking about Dalo and Wan-Bissaka, who will support them up front. Both Greenwood, who was supposed to be the next Messiah, and now Antony, who they bought for about 100 million euros, are out, right? So it's a dicey situation for Manchester United,
This,
and
this, this
one will keep asking, why did this case keep coming up?
Gbenga, this story is said to have a lot of reverberating effects on Manchester United. But first of all, before I point that out, Manchester United are supposedly conducting their own investigations, but their investigations and the outcome of it didn't seem to help the Greenwood matter. They concluded that Greenwood hadn't done what he was accused of, and yet it was like in unison, the vast majority of the English audience, English fan base, just would not have Mason Greenwood. At the very least, if not the majority, certainly the most vocal parts of it, the media would not have Mason Greenwood returned to Manchester United. And even some fans threatened to boycott Manchester United permanently. With this instance, he hasn't been arrested. He hasn't been charged. All of it is still at an investigation stage. But this comes at a time when Erik ten Hag recently had a blowout with Jadon Sancho, who is also a right winger and hasn't been getting a lot of game time, and had come out to say that he was being scapegoated by Erik ten Hag. And even a further report came out recently that said that other players in the squad are not in support of Jadon Sancho because they trust Erik ten Hag because of his blanket way of dealing with things. He is a disciplinarian. He keeps everybody on the same level, no special favors, no in the sense of how Ronaldo was treated, for example. He wasn't treated in any special way. And in Jadon Sancho's instance, him being accused of not training to the level that Eric Ten Hag and the rest of the coaching staff wants from him, he will not play. And certainly, the more this matter escalates between he and Eric Ten Hag, the less likely he will play. Now, for them to lose Antony at this time, it seems like Manchester United's possible attempts to do better than they did last season is very likely to come to a screeching halt. What do you think?
So again, why always the right wingers? And if there's anyone who would benefit from this mishap, it will probably be their new signing, Mason Mount. He is someone who has tried to thrive in that position for Chelsea more often than not when they play a front three attack lineup. Mason Mount has always come good from the right side of the wing. So why not do the same thing for Manchester United when they are out of options, right? Bruno Fernandes will stick with his middle pace, while Garnacho comes on the left. Marcus Rashford or Højlund will keep their places. There's still the issue about the combination between Casemiro and Eriksen according to that out for us that has been in recent times. But again, they would have to make do with what they have. They bought Messi Man for good dollar. It's time for him to show his sport. Manchester United have a lot of things to do. The English Premier League returns this weekend, and there is no time to begin to experiment. I think by now in training, they should begin to find alternative solutions. But while they do that, I don't think Antony's case will end like doing this case, right? If there's anything Manchester United have struggled with in recent times, it's crisis management. Generally, even the owners themselves don't know how to avoid being on the bad side of the fans. Remember when Manchester United Liverpool game was halted just because the fans revolted. So crisis management has always been a problem, which is why they preferred Mason Mount rather than drown themselves in drama. So for Antony, I think the recent report showed he uploaded some chat, screenshots of some chat of one of the ladies that later came out to accuse him of I think her name is Ingrid Lana. He brought out a chat where she was the one requesting for sexual pleasure, being out and showing all sorts of consent, and all of a sudden they're coming out to say he's guilty of sexual assault towards you. So I think there are some form of evidences that could be in favor of Antony moving forward. So I don't think his case will end like the Greenwood case.
Well,
but for now, it's a good decision for him to
well, even if he doesn't get charged in his native home, Brazil, the Crown prosecution in England tends to take these matters very seriously. And if they can find, because this is not an entertainment show, but I think if you look across the pond to the US, an actor was recently charged with assaulting a female partner. And even though there's been evidence and testimony and witnesses ready to step up and say the lady was the one who initiated physical assault against him, and in fact, he walked away, the matter still remains in court. And now that lady has disappeared, left the country, we've been told. If I apply that to this matter, and I consider that even when there is some evidence that says the person didn't do it, as long as there's evidence that potentially says Antony did do it, the Crown prosecution will roll the dice, maybe because it has to come off looking like it did its job, it did its best, and took the matter to its natural conclusion, to have the court decide on the balance of the evidence being provided by either side, the prosecution and the defense. Then they would choose to find him guilty or not guilty. And I think if it goes that way, if he gets charged, if he goes to court, even if he's found not guilty, not just that there isn't sufficient evidence to proceed, but rather that he's found not guilty, I believe that the court of public opinion has already had its say, so much so that it will not go back and relitigate it. In fact, his career in England might very well already be done, and this is just the first step towards that reality.
So again, like I said, I think there are some fine details that differentiate Anthony's case from Greenwood's case. In Greenwood's case, I don't think he had any visible evidence against the accusation. He only had he only was able to prove that it was merely vocal assault, not really physical stuff. For Antony, we are seeing evidences against the charges. Again, I saw the chart and the interpretation because the charts were written in Portuguese. I saw the interpretation of where she was talking about the whole thing. I saw the interview of Antony on SBT, a Brazilian channel, where he was talking about the incident of which the lady talking about Gabriela Cavalli was talking about at the Manchester hotel. He said he just wanted to leave. She didn't allow him to leave, and she was trying to force him to stay. He got heated so much that she started throwing plates and throwing cups. Now, here's the thing. Gabriela herself said she got injured on her finger due to the fact that Antony threw a glass at her. Now, here's me thinking logically. When you have a cut on your hand or your finger, that usually comes from somebody who breaks a bottle or throws a glass, not necessarily somebody who is at the receiving end. Because if somebody throws a glass to you at the receiving end, probably you have a wound or a bone fracture or whatever. You won't have a cut on your finger. That comes from you actually holding the glass, which means Antony might actually be innocent. Most of these evidences are just panning to show that he can actually prove himself differently from how Greenwood's case went. But I am not a lawyer, right? I'm
Yeah.
just here permutating what is available for us.
Well, common sense and logic is what you're using. And I hope that in the course of finding out the truth about this, tempers are kept at a simmering rather than a boiling point.
She's, she's, she's really angry. She's really angry. I saw a statement where she was like, how dare the club let the guy continue to play? He doesn't deserve to be on the pitch. He should be suspended. You could see from her voice or from her tone that she's out for vendetta, and it's just left to the thing anyway.
All right. Hopefully, it will be resolved and all parties can walk away. At least we can get the truth and all parties can feel heard, if nothing else. Thank you, Gboyega. Always a pleasure having you on the show to discuss these stories. Your insight is very valued. And
Thank you very much for having me. And I don't know if you are one of those who also enjoy the international break. Do
well,
you enjoy the international break? Because some people are skeptical.
Well, personally, I believe there are too many international breaks, but that's just me. Some of it is fun to watch. Some of it just interrupts a momentum that you're just starting to build with the excitement of a new club football season. But we do what we can. It's the tradition. We make do with what we have.
No problem. We will make the program. Every club should be like the MLS. Have extended holiday. Nobody would complain.
All right. All right. Have a good evening, Gbenga.
And you too.
To everyone at home or at work, wherever you've had the opportunity to catch us, as always, I'd like to thank you and say it's always a pleasure having you join us on the show. My name is Mikhail Tinubu. Remember, life is never boring with some sports. Have a good evening.